Hey guys, Avi here, and welcome back to the Codex. In this video, we're going to learn about functions in Java. Let's get started. So first thing first, what is a function? Well, imagine that you had a piece of code that printed out 5 lines and every line said hello world. Something like one of the for loops did in a previous lecture. And that code had to be repeated in multiple locations. So in every single location, you had the exact same for loop. Let's say you had 10 for loops in your code. This is very inefficient, and this is one of the several reasons why functions were created. Functions, also known as methods, is basically a collection of statements that are grouped together in order to simplify your code. For example, I could group all of those for loops into one single for loop and define that as a function. And then instead of having to copy paste that for loop wherever I needed, I could just refer to that function. This will be made much more clear in this video. Let's jump right into it. So first thing first, guys, I'm going to create a very simple function called hello world. And the way this is going to work is to create a function, it requires basically a couple of main properties. First, you need to specify whether it's public or private. Should anybody, the package, everybody else be able to access this function, or do you want this function just to be relative to your class? Now, we haven't discussed this much yet, and I'll dive into this in deeper detail, but go ahead and just say public and static. Both of these are very important in order for your function to work. Again, I will be explaining these in a future video. After that, you specify the type of your function. What is it actually going to return? As you can see, our main method returns void. It doesn't return anything. However, your function can return whatever it wants to. It can return a string, an integer, void, etc. For now, let's go ahead and say void because we're just printing out hello world. Then comes your function name. And for now, I'm going to say hello world. And then inside of these brackets, you specify any parameters you want to pass in. For now, leave them blank and open up your curly braces. So over here, we created our very own function called hello world. Right now, it doesn't do anything, but go ahead and say system.out.println and then pass in over here hello world. Awesome. So this is a very, very straightforward function. If you now say over here hello world and run this, compile our file, and then go ahead and say Java main, we get hello world. So how does this actually work? Well, we created this function that is public, static, does not return anything, is called hello world, and when we refer to it like this, it runs the code inside, system.out.println hello world. Now going back to our situation where, what if I wanted to replicate my for loop and not have to copy paste my for loop in every scenario? I can say for int I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. I want to go ahead and say over here, I less than 5 semicolon. I just want to go ahead and say over here, system.out.println hello world. So now instead of having to copy paste this code over and over again in every single situation, I just have to put it in a function or a method and then just call this method wherever I need to. So go ahead and save that, compile it one more time, Java C, Java, and then we have over here 5 hello worlds. Awesome. So this again is a very basic function or method. It doesn't take in any parameters and we're not returning anything. So now let's go ahead and make this function a little bit more complicated. I'm going to create another function, public, and you can see that access can be private as well. For now, don't worry about that. I'll explain what public and private is in the future. But for now, just say public, static, and now let's go ahead and return an integer and create a sum function. So our sum function is going to take in 2 integers, int a and int b, and return the sum of these 2 integers. So to specify parameters in Java, what you do is you specify the type of the parameter and then the parameter name. It's a bit different than Python. In Python, all you have to do is just put in the variable name. In Java, you have to specify the data type. So int a, int b. And what this means is whenever we call a sum function, we have to specify int a and an int b. Now inside of this function, guys, public static int sum int a int b, we're going to go ahead and return the sum of a and b. So I can either say sum of a and b. There are some math functions that have been incorporated into the Java package, but for now I'm just going to say return a plus b. Okay? So public static int sum int a, int b should return a plus b. What is this return statement, you might ask? Well, in a function, if it's not void, it has to return some value. And in order to return that value, we use the return statement to specify that, hey, this function at the end of the day is going to return this statement right over here. And for us, that is the sum of a plus b. Now let's go ahead and go inside of our main method and say over here something like this. Int sum of a, or let's just call this c, is equal to the sum of 3, 5. So as you can see, it automatically shows us that, oh, a is 3, b is 5, and the data types do match. If I pass something like this, 3.2, an error occurs, wrong first argument type, found double, required int. That's why Java enforces you to pass in the correct data type and specify the parameter for your function. So int c is equal to sum 3, 5. Let's go ahead and print this out. Obviously, you guys all know it's 8, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to print this out. Java C main.java, and then Java main, and then we have 8. Awesome. So in this video, guys, we just touched the bare minimum of functions, but this gave you a good idea of what's going on. In order to create functions, you specify public, static, and then the return type. Is it going to be nothing, i.e. void, or is it actually going to be some sort of data type, your function name, any parameters you want to pass in, and then you run your code. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.